Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. Shabab Oman 2 ship is delivered to the Royal Navy of Oman by the manufacturing company in Netherlands. Specialists from different health institutions in the Sultanate discuss in Muscat the latest findings in pediatrics. And Kerry holds meetings in Egypt and Turkey on the international efforts to combat Daesh. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in details. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos sent a cable of condolences to His Highness Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, Amir of the State of Kuwait, on the death of Sheikh Mubarak Hamoud Sabah Al Salman Al Sabah. Shabab Oman 2 ship was delivered to the Royal Navy of Oman RNO by the manufacturing company in Netherlands. This came in implementation of the royal directives of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. The new vessel will continue the mission of the previous one to be a cultural ambassador of the Sultanate. The delivery ceremony was held at the headquarters of the manufacturing company in Netherlands under the auspices of Janab Sayyid Mohammed bin Harb Al Said, Sultanate's ambassador accredited to the Kingdom of Netherlands, the presence of a number of senior officers of RNO and the Royal Navy of Netherlands. The event started by the Royal Anthem of Oman and Royal Anthem of Netherlands. Then some verses of the Holy Quran were recited. After that, RNO and the manufacturing company gave their speeches in the ceremony. Then the flags of the Sultanate and RNO were raised at the top of the vessel and its crew boarded it. Then the chief guest and the attendees toured the ship. The new ship is longer and wider than the previous one. It accommodates more than 90 persons. In an endeavor to explore the latest developments in the field of pediatrics, the first national conference on pediatrics, especially blood and kidney disease. It includes various work papers delivered by specialists at pediatrics departments in different health establishments in the Sultanate. It discusses topics such as kidney diseases, tuberculosis, neurological and heart diseases in children. Some 300 physicians and nurses working in the pediatrics field from various health establishments in the Sultanate took part or will take part in this conference. The Public Authority for Small and Medium Enterprises Development organized a training program for employees of the government sector under the theme Entrepreneurship and Excellence. The program was held in the Wilaya of Khasab in the Governorate of Musandam. The program focused on introducing concept and foundations of entrepreneurship and skills of dealing with entrepreneurs to render the best services to them, in addition to displaying successful experiences in this field. The authority has so far implemented around 14 training programs on the distinguished entrepreneurs or enterprises in different governorates of the Sultanate until the end of last August. The new sample of Muscat Securities Market MSM Sharia compliant index, which include 32 MSM listed companies, will start operation tomorrow. MSM will revise the sample each 3 months to include companies that are compliant with the regulations and exclude companies that are not compliant. Observers affirm that the Islamic indicators will attract new category of investors as they meet the needs of investors who prefer to have reliable references that help them in identifying the investments that meet the requirements of the Islamic Sharia. These, in turn, will contribute to the development and growth of the Islamic finance market. It's worth mentioning that MSM organizes a number of seminars about the criteria for selecting the sample of the Islamic index. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and still to come in our news bulletin. At least 264 people are killed in Pakistan due to the floods and landslides. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Arab League Secretary General Dr. Nabil Al-Arabi today held talks with U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry on the latest developments in the region, especially the situation in Syria, Libya and Iraq, and the regional and international efforts to combat terrorism. An Arab League official source said the meeting was aimed to brief the Arab League Secretary General on the outcome of the last Thursday's Jeddah ministerial meeting on anti-terrorism, in which Kerry took part, especially that the Arab League Secretary General did not participate in this meeting. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan met U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, who is paying a two-day visit to Ankara for a series of meetings following his Middle East tour as part of the U.S. efforts to gain support in fighting against Daesh. At another meeting with his Turkish counterpart Mevlut Cavusoglu, Kerry, speaking to the press, the Turkish Foreign Ministry said he and his team will have a very full agenda and they look forward to constructive conversations with his Turkish counterpart, the new Prime Minister, and President Erdogan. Heavy artillery fire rocked northern districts of Donetsk, the largest city of eastern Ukraine today, and a large plume of black smoke hung over the airport, a Reuters reporter said, in the biggest test in days for a fragile regional ceasefire. Donetsk airport remains in the lands of Ukrainian government forces, while the city, an industrial hub with a pre-war population of about 1 million, is controlled by the pro-Russian separatists. Earlier, the Ukrainian military said the rebels had fired on their forces overnight in the area of the airport. Ukraine's Prime Minister said today Russia's President Vladimir Putin aimed to destroy Ukraine as an independent country and said only NATO could defend the ex-Soviet republic from external aggression. Kyiv and its Western backers accused Moscow of sending the troops and tanks into eastern Ukraine in support of pro-Russian separatists battling Ukrainian forces in a conflict that has killed more than 3,000 people. Yatsenyuk said Putin's goal is to take all of Ukraine. Russia is a threat to the global order and to the security of the whole of Europe. At least 4 people killed and a child was injured when the roof of a house collapsed due to heavy rains in eastern Pakistan. The floods and landslides from days of heavy monsoon rains have now claimed at least 264 lives in Pakistan. In Punjab alone, 184 people have been killed in rain and flood-related incidents, and crops over hundreds of thousands of acres have been damaged. The National Disaster Management Authority said late Thursday more than 1.8 million were now affected by the raging torrents, a figure that includes both those stranded at home and those who fled after the floods. And with that story from Pakistan to the general weather forecast. Cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas of the Governorate of Dhofar and nearby mountains, with chances of intermittent drizzle. The rest of the Sultanate will have clear skies with chances of scattered rain over the Hajar Mountains and the nearby areas. Winds will be southerly to southwesterly to moderate to active along the southeastern coast, while it will be southeasterly light to moderate over the rest of the Sultanate. Seas along the southeastern coast will be rough with a maximum wave height of 3.5 meters, and along the rest of the coast it will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Shabab Oman 2 ship is delivered to the Royal Navy of Oman by the manufacturing company in Netherlands. Specialists from different health institutions in the Sultanate discuss in Muscat the latest findings in pediatrics. And Kerry holds meetings in Egypt and Turkey on the international efforts to combat Daesh. With that, we come to an end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.